So, I bet you're a RuneScape player that might be a little lost right now, or maybe you might be overwhelmed with what to do in a game that has 20 plus years worth of all super useful content. Well, I'm glad you clicked on this video then, because I'm going to be talking about potential goals for your account that will make you a much happier individual. And for RuneScape players, happiness is monetarily equivalent to gold. I'm going to be going over goals that will give you something to make your grinds less painful, motivate you to never bank stand, and or specific useful gear to make you feel superior to the Lumbridge cow farm noobs. It doesn't matter if you're a skiller, PvPer, PVMer, or even an Iron Man. I think these are all helpful goals to any account build and should at least be considered. I'm going to be breaking them up into early, mid, and late parts of the game. So let's get into it. The general idea for the early game goals are just things that help a player progress and get out of the super dull part of early game RuneScape. Any MMO's early games are never the best content, so doing things that avoid annoying grinds or unnecessary time commitment will make you enjoy playing the game and give you motivation to move further along into the better content. One of the worst experiences I believe to be a part of this game is when you're out of stamina, no home telly left, and all you can do is slowly walk to wherever it is, and this is, it's just the worst. Like this, it's so boring. God, honestly, walking anywhere sucks, so getting ways of transportation is huge and will save you time. For example, there are some quests I highly recommend to go for from the start, such as starting Fairy Tale Part 2 or the Grand Tree for Spirit Trees and Fairy Rings. Doing the Karen quests and getting those book teleports are also super useful since you will be using this area a lot as well. Make sure to get the teleportation tablets, as you will then have access to huge amounts of types of teleports just a bank click away. It's easier than trading magic and then using runes from the spellbook, and realistically you're not going to remember exactly what runes you're going to need each time. How many air runes for the Varrock teleport? 2? Wait, it's 3? God damn it! Just in general, it's worth doing as many quests as possible to unlock certain items or places. However, the true power of early questing is to get the free XP. Many skills have super tedious early grinds or area specific restrictions, so being able to do a quest and skip over all those parts is huge. That includes combat as well. For example, you could go kill cows and rock crabs for like 10 hours to get a 30 attack and strength, or you could do the waterfowl quest, which is about an hour, and get those levels in that amount of time. Another goal you should have is to find a clan. And I know, boo me for telling you guys to go be social, but hey, listen, okay? Not only does it give you a community to enjoy the experience with more and make some friends, but it will also give you actual people that will help you out with knowledge. There's a lot to know in this game, so people really can be your best resource sometimes. Also, you may even get some GP here and there. There are some early items I'd recommend getting first. One being the graceful set. This can take forever, but even a couple pieces will help. You need to train your agility in the process, which lets your run energy last longer, and again, less of just walking around like some asshole. The Ivan Staff is also super useful for early game, as it is a very good magic weapon that can help you with most combat related tasks. Also, aiming for doing Dragon Slayer 1 gives you the ability to wear Rune Plate Body and Green D'hide armor, which can be huge in getting you closer to the mid game, which really, that's what it's all about. This might not make any sense, but the mid game of RuneScape is like when in Pokemon your team looks like this. It's not super well rounded. You pretty much have only used a starter and a legendary you caught, which is basically the equivalent of your account only having a couple skills you've really worked on. You probably only have like level 1 hunter or something. Either way, at this stage, you're going to be able to do more challenging tasks that can involve some skill. So you're going to have to round out your account more. You're going to have to get more Pokemon, if that makes sense, okay? you need better Pokemon, okay? If you've reached this point, then good for you. Probably you have the RuneScape itch, and it's definitely worth thinking long term now. Starting dailies is a big goal to do all the time. Doing things like herb runs, battle staffs, and birdhouse runs will train good money making skills and give you actual GP. GP you can use to fund doing your actual main goals. Doing your easy and medium diaries are huge as well. Such a goal that is pretty realistic is getting your quest cape. Not only is it a sign that you're better than everyone else who doesn't have one, it also gives you a reason to make a super well-rounded account and gives you access to so much content. Some people really hate questing, but for me, it was my first big goal, and it really got me motivated to play the game and do things like annoying farming grinding or herbal or grinding or whatever grinds I did not want to do. Since it gives you so many things, it's a great goal to help you build your account and can be super fun if you're into it. There are so many items that become accessible to obtain at this point that I'm sure you've already seen other players wearing. One such item is the Slayer Helm. At this point, Slayer is going to be much easier and profitable for your account, so getting this Slayer Helm doesn't just make you look cooler, but it also gives you more Slayer XP over time and makes your Slayer grind faster, which gives you more money, which blah 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 blah, just go get it, okay? Another such item is getting your Fire Cape. There are some goals in the mid-level, I would like to say, that they will be easier later on, but at this point you should be striving for them because it is very realistic. If this is your first time getting a fire cape, I'd recommend waiting until you can get your blowpipe at level 75 range because it does make it so much easier. But this is an achievement all on its own. Not only is it one of the best in-slot capes for a while, but it's also your first step towards real PVMing. There are also other gear pieces that are big for your account. Getting things like Barrow's Gloves, Ancient Magics, or the Dragon Scimitar can be done through doing more difficult quests. Getting things like the Fighter Torso or Dragon Defender can be done through minigames. Getting things like the Blowpipe or Barrow's equipment can be bought, meaning you have to go get enough GP to go get them. All these items are super useful for your account and helps grinding out bosses or defeating high-level quest bosses, and honestly, it just makes you look like an absolute snack. At this point, you could even start dipping your toes into the world of bossing. Wait, I've already said dipping your toes twice. You can start doing bossing. Yeah, you could start doing that. You could aim to get the right gear to be able to do bossing like Barrows, Serachus, or even Wilderness bosses. Not only are some of these good money makers, but it could be okay combat XP. A side note, some people don't realize that if you're not an Iron Man, you can use World 330 and use other people's houses to get to these bosses a lot easier and heal up, and it just makes everything cheaper and easier to access. Late game is where you as a player get to the cream of the crop content. Sometimes it can take years to get to this point, and believe me, it's well worth it. Even if you're not at this point yet, these can still be goals you want to work towards, because I'm sure at some point you've seen YouTubers or whatever cool RuneScape content creators do this type of RuneScape stuff, you know? Which honestly can be your biggest motivating factor why you want to do it, just because you've seen other people do this, so why not? For many of the endgame bosses, you need base 80-90 combat stats, and it becomes easier the higher your level is, but you can make it even easier with some high-end gear. Most of this gear will be super expensive and difficult to get enough GP for. This is when most people start bossing though, because it gives them a chance to start making up to millions of GP an hour. They can be difficult to learn, but again, learning some of the bosses are great goals to strive for. Not only does it give a great feeling to learn, but getting huge drop rewards is going to be a dopamine overload for you. Such bosses to strive for are learning Sora, Vorkath, or even Godward bosses if you are so brave. Getting super high construction should also be a goal for you if you're trying to boss. It gives you the ability to heal, teleport, and restock up for your next trip. It can even be helpful for certain skilling methods. Not only that, but it makes you feel like a straight gangster. There are so many endgame items that you can strive for. Some are more realistic than others. For example, most items are wearable when you are level 75 in whatever combat skill, but most people won't be able to wear the best gear as it takes hundreds of mil or even sometimes a bill to get those items. Aiming to get best in slot is a huge goal and not a bad one. I would, however, recommend breaking this goal down. Generally, the best type of armor for the combat styles are the Bandos, Armadale, and Ancestral. All of these are close to 100 mil to get, but can be a great goal for anyone. Until then, though, I'd recommend trying to get Elite Void only after combat level 100 for max amount of points, and least amount of time spent at pest control. Aiming for an endgame type of weapon would also be great, those being the Abyssal Bludgeon, Dragon Claws, Warhammer, Dragon Hunter Lance, the Dragon Hunter Crossbow. Any of these can be great goals to getting for PVMing and making your account just better and cooler. Other goals could be just getting 99 in a skill you really enjoy. You should also definitely work on achievement diaries, the hard and elite, as they can give you a ton of helpful uses. So there are some god player goals. They're really only ones that crazy people would do. I just thought I'd throw them in for the fun of it. You could try to get the Infernal Cape, something that is more rare, than the amount of households in the US that have over $50 million, which means it's more likely to see someone on the street that lives in a house over 50 million than it is to see someone that has an Infernal Cape. You could make some weird account based off a chunk or a region. Why not? Find your own way to play all over again. And you could even max if you think you have the balls to. I personally don't have any tips on how to do these because I can't conceptually wrap my head around them. But I DM'd one of my boys who recently maxed, and I asked him, what is it that helped him to do it? And he said this. So, well, I guess I'll just leave these up to you. And that's all I had. Please leave your tips or goals in the comments below. It's crazy how much of the game there is still that I don't know about to this day. So let's all learn together or some cringe shit like that. Anywho, please remember that don't let anyone tell you what you should do. Don't feel like you need to do any of this to be good or have fun at the game. Do whatever you want. Define your own goals because that's what RuneScape's all about. That's a scuffed way of saying what Settled said, but you get what I mean. Do your thing. And you know what? That's just a theory. A RuneScape theory. Thanks for watching.